Good evening again, folks. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with this progressive track that's kind of starting to take shape. It's not kind of in the genre of what progressive house has become these days, but it's more like how I remember progressive trance. So yeah, it's kind of taking it back to the stuff that I used to like back in the late 90s. Early 2000s, in the slower BPMs, you know, the 126, 128, just lush kind of, it's trance but a lot slower and a bit more progressive, so it's still very uplifting and emotional, and that's what I'm trying to recreate here. I've done a little bit since the last stream. Let me show you what I have here. So basically what's going on is I've added a whole bunch of percussion, and let me just take it back to the start. So what have we got? Yes, I've added a whole bunch of percussion, and I'm trying out some different chord sequences, and I've built up some more of the groove with the bass. So yeah, I'll play what I've got so far, and of course, as per usual, let me know what you think. And I'm going to keep working on this. I want to try out a different chord progression as well. At the moment, there's just like the one main melody, which is I think pretty strong, to be honest, but it obviously needs another one, which will come in time, no doubt. So yeah, I'm going to turn the mic off and just crack on. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at the moment. So I've kind of filled out the bass, done a lot with the drums. I want to try a different chord progression. I've kind of gone for something that felt quite obvious, but I'm going to try something new. So I'm going to fast forward to this section here and just have a little bit of a play. Get rid of this. So at the moment I've got 3 layers playing the melody. So they're all coming from Diva actually. So the first one is the main pluck I used for Amber actually. So on its own this sounds like this. Let me just unmute these. So yeah, it's kind of a familiar pluck sound that obviously I want to keep running throughout the Hydra vibe. The second pluck is also coming from Diva, and it's just playing an octave higher, and it's kind of a similar sound that I kind of made. And this sounds like this. Together. And then I have this another track coming from Diva, which I offloaded a lot of my sounds to another Mac. So this is running on Ensemble, so you can see my Ensemble screen here. And this is a sound which sounds like this. So all three together come in like this. I've also laid it up with this pad. Let me just play this as well. This is also playing on my Ensemble machine. So we've got the gated pluck. So yeah, the gated saw, the two plugs, and this string line all together kind of come together. And what I wanted to do was try a different chord progression. So rather than do the obvious progression, well, it's not an obvious progression, but the progression that I have, I want to try something completely different. So we've got Joseph and Randy. Hi guys, good to see you here. Yes, I did keep the vocal sample. I don't know if I will. In fact, I got that from Splice, as I mentioned the other day. And there's tons of this vocal. It's by a vocalist called Kara, so I might dip in there once I've got the track a little bit more finalised and come up with some more vocal hooks, do some chops and whatnot, or I may not. So right now I'm going to look at these chord progressions and see if I can come up with something a little bit less obvious. So I'm going to switch the mic off, get to it. Any questions, let me know, and I will come back to you in a bit. I'm going to turn these pads a little bit louder than normal just so I can actually hear what I'm doing. yeah, I'm going to try recording this in and building up a few more notes around that. Got a hanging note there from somewhere. It's annoying when this happens. There we go, that's got it. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to put these, I won't be using this pad in the actual finish mix, it's just to get the sounds in. So I'm going to record the pad now and then put the bass underneath it and see where we can go with it. Okay, so let me just have a look inside there. Just tidy up all the notes. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to record the bass note underneath it to give it a bit of definition. So we've got a simple sub bass here, which I'm going to put in. This might work. This might work out. I'm not necessarily going to replace the main chord progression with this one. It's just to try it out because it was kind of bugging me. Let's just have that little vocal sample towards the end of that phrase as well. So yeah, before I kind of started streaming, I pulled in another bass sound which I was keen to have a try with. This is coming from June 3. Yeah, I've not had this too long actually, so I'm just getting used to some of the sounds in there. It's a little bit punchier than the bass I'm using, so I may end up using 2 or 3 different bass patterns together. So I'm just going to try this out. I'll just play over the top for now, just to give it a little bit more of a drive, I think. So yeah, I'll just show you what's going on with the bass. Got an awful lot going on already actually. So it's basically, I'll solo this with a kick so you can hear what's going on. Basically we have this. So yeah, that's like the main kind of underpinning bass, and then we've got this this long range bass, which is coming from Repro 1, which again is running on a separate Mac at the moment. So it's this thing here. So when I play the two together, we end up with this. And then I've also added another kind of stabby bass, which is this one. So yeah, I mean, on their own they don't really amount to much, but it's kind of building up the groove with different layers, which is what I tend to do an awful lot of. And then there's a fourth pattern here. And I'm about to record a fifth, and then obviously introducing them at different parts in the track and using maybe 2 or 3 at a time, and then switching them around so that we've always got a little bit of different kind of energy going on, and yes, keeps it more interesting. I've got my daughter texting me saying the Wi-Fi in the house is broken. Luckily for us, this is working still, so we will continue and I'll ignore these texts. Right, okay, so the fourth bass pattern is this In God We Trust, which is also coming from Repo 1. Beautiful little patch. So as I do the modulation wheel, it kind of opens up the filter, and this comes from the Firebird bank, which I recently got. Which I believe was from a guy called The Unfinished, who does some awesome packages, so some preset banks. So anyway, so all of these together sound like this. Here we go. Think we've got enough basses going on. I'm going to add a little more. So as I say, I'm going back to this June. A little bit more stabbier. I might put a little bit of reverb on it as well. Actually, I'm just going to send that to. In fact, I'm going to insert a black hole for now. Who says you can't have reverb on a bass? Perhaps not that much though, eh? Hang on. So yeah, something like that can be quite effective. Probably not all the way through, just little tastes of it here and there. I seem to be overloading black holes, so let me just turn this down. Okay, gonna go for a take. Yeah, that kind of just adds a little bit. It's very loud in the mix at the moment, but I will be fixing that, of course. So yeah, I'm just going to get all the velocities the same. If you've watched previous streams, then you'll know I've got keyboard shortcuts for most things. So I'm very tidy when I program. I make sure all the note lengths are the right lengths. Note lengths are quantized at the ends, should I say. So it's basically just a 1-bar pattern which I can repeat, of course. So just zoom in on this. Try and do as much of this in 1080p so you can see full screen what I'm doing. It's a bit of juggling for me with the screen resolutions, but I'm getting the hang of it slowly. Things I have to do for you guys. So yeah, one of my absolute pet hates is producers that just do rolling 16s, which, you know, has kind of made every trance track sound the same in my opinion. And I'm kind of showing you here a completely different way of doing things, rather than having one bass note playing on every 16th note. I've got 4 or 5 different parts, all playing a different rhythm basically, but they all interact to make it interesting and different to other stuff. So that's what I'm trying to achieve here. And when it's all compressed together and put through a group, and you know, towards the end, and then put and compressed again with the kick, it will sound more like one whole unit rather than loads of different parts. And I'll kind of show you that as I get towards that. But at the moment, I'm still trying to get the groove locked in. So yeah, I'll just keep plugging away. How's that sounding, guys? I think that's sounding pretty cool, actually. think that's kind of working. I need to copy that bass note obviously into this new chord progression. My computer's still falling over itself, skipping there. I do apologise. I need to offload even more to my second computer. Basically, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got 2 new cameras, and I'm basically using 2 iPhones to capture the video because the video quality was a lot better. So hopefully that's better. New lights in the background. Thought I'd better up my game a little bit. Anyway, consequently, the video is taxing my computer a whole lot more than the webcams, and it's coming in at a lot higher resolution as well. So it's kind of, when you're recording the output to 1080p HD and streaming to 720 and having all the audio and everything else, it's just too much for one computer. So I'm doing my best here, guys. Hopefully the music will make up for it. So yeah, I did a little bit in the bass down here. I'm going to just change this back. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, I added some different chord notes, well, lower bass notes, which I'm just going to delete for now. Keep it all on A for this intro section. So yeah, I'm kind of torn between 128 and 126, guys, so I'm going to drop down to 126 for a little bit. Let me know what you think, whether it should be 126 or 128. So yeah, I kind of dropped it down to an F, which at some point in the track I will actually go back and do that, but just for now I'm going to leave it all on A while I get all the bass grooving correctly, or how I want it anyway, not correctly, because there is no correct way, of course. I think I'll try a little bit of delay on this bass as well. I'm just going to run it through Replica for now on its own inserts. Doing all the things you're not supposed to do, right, kids? Can't put delay and reverb on a bass. Oh no, it's terrible. So yeah, that'd be quite fun, I think, messing about with the filter. Yes, I'm liking that. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to get excited now. Here we go. Good things happen when the vibe flows. Friday night as well, must be good. Right, okay, so yeah, that's as a groove and as a concept, I'm really liking that, and I'm liking the 126 as well. How I link that in to my 134 BPM Hydra stuff in a live scenario, that's going to be interesting, but I'll deal with that when we get there. But I think at the moment I'm preferring the 126. Just seems to groove a little bit better and leaves a bit more space for the bass to have a little bit of fun, and that reverb and the delay on that bass is yeah, sounds great here. I realised actually, guys, I use Sonarworks, so you're actually hearing a modified version of the EQ. So I'm going to show you this quickly. So what you can see here is, so the blue line is the frequency response of my room, and the green line is the corrective EQ that Sonarworks adds. So you're hearing the actual corrected version, so you're probably hearing well, you're hearing this boost here in the 100 hertz area and other artifacts. So this actually won't sound as good as it does to me here, but I need to leave this switched on so I can make the right mixing decisions. So it might sound a bit weird for you guys, but trust me, it will sound amazing when it's finished. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm going to just get the bass notes sorted out for this new part that I've put in, and then I'm probably going to record a little bit of filter movement to keep it interesting. Okay, that should be it. Right, so I've told you guys before, I kind of, I'll show you this as I go along actually. I run everything through stems. So what I'm going to do is put all my bass channels through the bass stem and just compress them all together. Probably with an API compressor, which is quite punchy. So let me just do the routing for this right now. So I've basically got this diva. I'll show you what's going on the screen. Sorry, there we go. So that's already going. That's going to the sub stem. So let me change that. Yeah, my routing's all a bit messed up at the moment, but I need to get it fixed. So that's going to the bass already. That's going to the bass. Bass, that's going to bass. That's going to the sub, that's okay. And that one's going to the bass, okay. Right, so if I solo the bass now. Right, so I use Slate Audio's virtual channel. So at the moment it's going through. Oh, crikey! I don't know what this actually is. This I don't know what emulation this is. I've forgotten these different emulations, but that's an SSL-N. I think that's the SSL-G, and then an E, and then a tube. So I've already got a lot of drive on this to overdrive the frequency, so it adds like a lot of harmonics to the sound, gives it a bit more of a vibe, a bit more of it kind of enhances the stereo width as well. What I'm now going to do is going to try the API compressor. So I've got the waves and the UAD version, but the UAD is a little bit better in my opinion. So. And this will kind of gel the bass, all the different elements of the bass together. So even all the delays and the reverbs and the 5 different parts are all coming through this bass stem. So I'm going to compress them all together, and it'll just glue all the sounds together, make it sound more cohesive. So I'm going to have a little play with this now. So I want it to be punchy at the same time. So you need a reasonably fast attack, but not too fast. You need to let those kind of initial transients come through. So somewhere around here seems to work well for the API to have a little bit of punch, and then you can have a longer release. And I'm going to introduce the kick drum next and just listen to how well the sounds all gel together. How this comes across on a Facebook stream, I don't know what you're listening to, whether you're on a phone or headphones or in the studio or what. So, but obviously it's sounding great here in the studio for me. So you'll have to just trust that I'm making some good decisions here. But I'll show you what I'm doing anyway, and hopefully you can pick up a thing or two or not. Might seem like a load of nonsense to you, but this is what I do to get the sound that I do. I'm also going to, well, in fact, a lot of these channels already have a bit of sidechaining going on, but I'm going to put a little bit of sidechain on the whole bass stem after the API compressor with a multiband sidechain, the Vengeance multiband sidechain. What this allows me to do is separate the bass and the top end and have more side chaining going on the lower end and the top end, because I don't want to lose all the top end stuff. So I'll just jump into that now and you'll hear what's going on. I'm going to leave the kit going to give it some context. So at the moment I'm just trying to define what is the bass and what is the top end. So at the moment I'm listening to the low end, as you can see by this light here. Yeah, somewhere around there. So if I look at what the low end's doing, I've already got I've got this loaded up to have like a default preset which works pretty well for most of my stuff. So basically all the low frequencies below about 1k, all the frequencies below 1k are getting ducked quite a lot, and then above that a lot less. It's getting ducked a lot less. So basically what it allows the kick to do is have a lot of space and a lot of room for it to come through, but the top end of the bass stem is kind of left almost untouched, so you still get the punchy transients. Hope that's making sense. If not, I'll try and explain it again later, but I'm going to tweak this now to make it sound as good as I can. So I just want to kill a little bit of that reverb because, is it from this one here? Yeah, in fact I'm just going to kill a lot of the top frequencies here. Yeah, the delay, I need to kill a lot of the high frequencies, so I'm going to change that now. Okay, I'm going to have a little play with that. I'm going to listen to it all together now. Yeah, so that's sounding really tight to me actually. One last thing I'm going to do is put, I'm just going to make all the frequencies on the bass mono below. Well, I'm just going to listen actually first of all. Basically you want all your bass to be as mono as possible, and that'll just keep the bottom end as tight as possible as well. There's no point having stereo information in the sub frequencies because it's just going to be less powerful, and it's meaningless anyway, especially in a club where everything's in mono in those sub frequencies anyway. So yeah, you can get more energy and more punch in the bottom end by making all the bass mono. One way to do that is with a mono maker, but I'm using this Master Desk plugin from Brainworks, which is kind of an all-in-one mastering plugin, but it's also really good for just subtle tweaks on a channel. And it has, if you look down here, this mono maker, so you can select you can select the crossover where you want the frequencies to be mono. So I'm going to just anywhere below around 200 hertz you can make mono. So I'm just going to listen. Thought about to save this. Yeah, that's sounding great to me, so I'm going to just move on from there and look at yeah, well, in fact, there's loads I want to do. I want to play more percussion, I want to look at the arrangement, I want to try this new chord sequence, and I want to find some new melodies and things to put on top. A couple of things I've ruled out is this clap. So yeah, that's a clap, which I'm going to just can that all together now. Don't need that. I've got another hi-hat which I was playing with. It's currently muted. I'm just going to try it out once more before canning it. Yeah, it's nice, but it's I think I've got some better stuff afterwards. In fact, I'm going to start with 8 bars of one hat and then switch to these shakers. See how that kind of plays out. Yeah, that's it's really nice actually when you have that kind of change where you've got like a one. I'll just play that again. So with, you don't really hear this so much in trance, but in progressive you do, where you'll have like one hi-hat pattern or shakers or whatever, and then it just completely changes to a completely different one. And you can see that here, see and hear the change, and it's quite exciting when you've got stuff like that happening every 16 or 32 bars. So I'm going to experiment more with dropping different hi-hat patterns in and bringing other ones, taking other ones out. Of course, it's all part of the production process, and I'm talking an awful lot, but there you go. So we'll hear this bit again. Yeah, I think it's coming together quite nicely. I'm getting really hot in the studio here. It's ridiculously hot here in York today, and I've been in here for a while. So I'm probably going to wrap this up, take a break, come back and do some more. But I will come back and do some more streaming probably tomorrow or Sunday. Hope you're liking it. Any questions, let me know. And as per usual, I will answer them as quickly as I can. So yeah, hope you like it. See you in a bit, guys.